Alright guys, Ask a Felon back with another one for you. I was asked, what's the most important thing about staying sober and staying on the right track once I got out of prison? To me, it was getting a job. Simple as it sounds, it was just getting a job. Thing was that everybody says it's hard for a felon to get a job. But honestly, I had a job probably within a month of being out. You just have to think outside the box. You might not be able to get a good factory job, but you can run ads on Craigslist. I know nobody uses Craigslist no more, but you'd be amazed at how much money I made on Craigslist. That's how I survived on the run in 5 years. Matter of fact, I posted ads. I didn't even know what I was doing. I just watched a YouTube video on how to fix Xbox 360s and PlayStation 4s and 3s. Well, PlayStation 3s. 4s wasn't out yet. But I watched a YouTube video on how to fix them. Went and bought me a heat gun. Went and bought some thermal paste. Boom. Posted an ad. That's how I made my money during the whole time I was on the run. It kept me laying low where I didn't have to interact with a lot of people. They bring it to the house, drop it off. I fix it, call them, tell them pick it up, get paid. That's simple. Or I run ads on Facebook and Nextdoor and shit like that and just put in there, doing maintenance, roof repairs, all around general maintenance. I'm telling you, I made money. That's how I stayed surviving. Once I got out of prison, though, I got on there and looked for under the table tax-free jobs. I know work release didn't like it, but hey, they accepted it. House arrest accepted it. So for people, I'm not trying to dog anybody and say you're lying or anything like that, but people who say it's hard for a felon to get a job, you ain't trying hard enough. You ain't looking in the right places. You ain't thinking outside the box. I had jobs doing flooring. I had jobs doing roofing. I had jobs doing construction. I had jobs doing landscaping. There's always a job out there you can find. That's just how you do it. Or like I said, run you an ad. It might not be nothing, but it'll be enough to get you by. It might be a little bit, $100 here, $300 here, $400 or $500 there, but it's enough to get you by until you do find something. For me, the recovery, that was the key. Having a job. And then by me getting a job, as soon as I got out of prison, I was in work release. So when I got that job, I was doing good enough in work release to where I'd stay on all day. I just make up my own hours. I mean, they didn't check it out what work release I'm at. And if they did, it was what it was. My boss would lie for me. So if I was in work release and I told him I was working from 8 to 4, I'd stay out till 6 or 7 and, boss would cover for me. I never had to show him check stubs or anything like that because it was a tax-free job. But that's the key, is to get work. You got to have a good support system. If you ain't got family there to support you and, if you got to hide to do drugs and you can't let people see you messed up, which is being around your family or being around a girlfriend or your wife or something, you're going to do it. You ain't going to try to do it as much. But the thing for me was I got out, got the job, got moved from work release to house arrest because I was doing so good. Then my boss talked to my house arrest caseworker, and then that ended up getting me off 2 months early. So the whole key thing is staying busy. If you stay busy and you come out of prison, if you wasn't using drugs in prison, then there's no point in starting when you get out, I know a lot of people used when they was in there. I did. I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't do nothing in prison. I did. I did Suboxone in prison. But when I got out of prison, I got me a script of Suboxone. I had to because I failed a drug test for it, which everybody was on relapse. If anybody who's an addict knows you relapse. That's part of being an addict. But I failed my drug test and I ended up going to jail. Well, luckily, the woman I married she knew the judge and saved me 20 years by getting me out of jail within 20 minutes of being arrested by calling the judge. He was still on the bench when she called him, and he stepped off the bench to take that phone call. And by the time I got to jail and got booked in, they didn't even have me booked in. They didn't even get the cuffs off me before the CO came around the corner and said, unhook him, we ain't keeping him. The sheriff who took me there from court said, what do you mean? He was like, I don't know. The judge just called and said, release him. We're not keeping him. Hurry up, unhook him, let him go. He's mad. So what happened was I failed a drug test for Suboxone and weed. The judge arrested me, didn't realize who I was, and then as I was being arrested and walked through the courthouse in the elevator, I told the person I was with, call her, tell her to call the judge. Sheriff kept saying, "No, she ain't gonna get a hold of him. He's on the bench. She ain't gonna get a hold of him. He's on the bench. She ain't gonna be able to do nothing for you." I said, "Watch and see." By the time I got to the jail from the courthouse, which is just across the street, pulled into to the the garage where they take you into booking, set me down on the bench, didn't even have the handcuffs off yet, and that CO came around the corner and said, "Unhook him." They didn't know what to do. They said, "Do we book him in or what?" And he's like, "No, I don't know. Judge just said unhook him and let him go. We ain't keeping him." So by the woman I was with, that saved me from going back to prison for 20 years. He was going to send me back to prison to finish my sentence for having Suboxone in my system. So what happened later on is he told her, "Hey, if he was to go get a prescription for that, I would modify him off. In his case, he won't have to worry about the probation violation. If by the time he comes to court, he has a prescription, I'll modify him off onto actual informal probation to where you don't have no probation." So I did that. I went and got me a prescription. And having a prescription for Suboxone, people out there can think Suboxone's bad for you or it's a hard drug. It ain't. Not if you've been an addict your whole life. Suboxone don't do nothing for you but keep you from being dope sick. That's all it does for me. If I have it, I'm not high. It don't have no effect on me except for keep me from being dope sick and keep me from having cravings to go out and do drugs. Another thing, people you're around. They say people, places, and things. That's always something that's said in recovery. People, places, and things. And that's the truest thing I've ever heard. Because when I got out, there's people who I ran with every single day before I went to prison. But when I got out and they contacted me, it was, "Hey, how you doing? Nice to know you're doing all right." "Yeah, I'm fine." That's it. No more. I ain't going back around you. I'm not going back to that life. What I did was I wound up hooking up with my boss who brought me my checks. I found the job by going to a True Value hardware store, and there was a handwritten sign posted, said "Help Wanted Construction. Call blah, blah, blah." So I called the number, and that's how I got the job. It was a guy who remodeled houses. So that was my job. I looked on Craigslist while I had that job, looking for other jobs. While I had that job, I applied for other jobs that I would rather have over that one. But I ended up staying with that job. Luckily, I did. I met my wife. I got to raise 3 kids. They wasn't mine, but I met my wife, and we raised 3 kids together. That kept me grounded. That kept me with a purpose. You got to find a purpose. If you ain't got nothing and you're just coming home to an empty house every night, or you don't even have a home, you're living with people, it changes the way you think about things. When you're your own man and you're supporting yourself and everything you have is yours, you are 10 times more confident, you feel better about yourself, and you don't feel like you have to have an urge to do nothing. You're not bored. So you're not saying, "Man, I might as well go get high. Man, I might as well get drunk." When you have a purpose and you have a goal, that's the thing. Set you a goal. I got with my wife. I got married 6 months after being in prison. After I got out of prison, 6 months later, I was married, I don't recommend that to anybody. But it did keep me grounded. 8 years I've been out now, and it's kept me from getting in any more trouble. So with that being said, how did I keep my feet grounded and beat recovery and stay drug free? Because I had a purpose. I had a job, and I had a family. And my family, my brothers, well, not my brother, but my sisters, my mom, my dad, they all supported me. You got to have a good support system, and do not go back around to people you was around before. I don't care. People will say, "Oh, you think you're better than me now that you're out of prison." No, I'm not. I just know what's good for me. Say what you want. You can say, "I think I'm better than you," but it's not that. It's I know what's best for me. So get you a job, find you a purpose, whether it's a hobby, whether it's a job that keeps you busy all day and all night to where that's all you do. I mean, think about what you did when you was a drug addict. Nothing really. So when you have a purpose and you got a hobby or something that you're interested in, you stay busy. That's the key. Stay busy. Keep your mind busy. Stay away from people, places, and things. And as cheesy as it sounds, that's the truth. I mean, it wasn't easy for me. I was homeless, even though I had a job. And once I got married, we ended up homeless, having to live in a camper that I bought off Craigslist for a case of beer, a pull behind camper. We paid $650 to stay at a campground for the season. We struggled bad in the beginning until I got a good job, which I found that job too. $650 a week salary. That was good money for me. It was enough to take care of 3 kids and my wife. And then we bought a house on contract, bought a 5 bedroom, 2 bathroom, 2 car garage house on contract. It was originally $400 a month, but we didn't have all the down payment. And I asked the people, hey, would you be willing to take a smaller down payment if we pay more monthly? So instead of paying the $400 a month, we paid the $500 a month. But simple things, guys. It's the effort you put into them. Today, there's internet. With the internet, there's endless ways to make money. I don't care who you are, what you know, what you don't know, what skills you have, what skills you don't. With the internet, there's always a way to find a way to make money. You just have to think outside the box. Yeah, it is hard. Felons don't you can't just go get any job. Hell, I tried to get a job at a Dollar General. I couldn't even get a job there because of felonies. I mean, little things like that. But if you try, you'll find it. People use it as an excuse. I'm a felon. I know somebody who used that their whole life. I'm a felon. I can't do it. I can't get a job because I'm a felon. And I'm a felon. I can't get a job. Now, after he quit being an excuse maker for it, he's got a job where he's got over $200,000 in a 401k and shit. So, yeah, people can. If you try, you're gonna do it. That's all there is to it. You have to focus and stay away from old habits. That's the key. It's like a fresh start. That's the way I looked at it. Okay, I'm out of prison. I'm a new man. Prison changed me. I'm a completely different man. Now I don't need to be around old people. Matter of fact, once you see the old people you was around, you're like, I'm glad I ain't around them people. I don't want to hang out with them people anyway. So stay busy. Find you a hobby. First thing, find work. Get you a vehicle. If you ain't got a vehicle and you haven't had a vehicle, getting a vehicle changes your life. It opens the door for more opportunities. Just getting a vehicle will change your life. Anybody who out there that ain't got a license, ain't drove, go get them. Go get your license. Find you a car. Work until you get enough to get a car. A car alone, a vehicle alone changes your life. It opens the door for more opportunities. But with that being said, guys, that's how I did my recovery. That's how I stay sober and how I stay on the right track. But with that being said, that's all I got for this video. I hope I answered the question on how I stayed on my recovery path. And if you guys would, please hit that like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification so every time I post, you guys get a video. I'm just kind of doing mixed up. There's no order here. I'm just answering questions as I get them. So I can post 1 video a day. I can post 5 videos a day. I can post 20 videos a day. Guess it just depends on how I feel, how many questions come in, what I'm doing at the time. So that being said, appreciate you watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe. Till the next one, see ya.